Hey there, welcome back. My name is Katie and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living. And today I thought it'd be fun just to take you along while I fix dinner for my family. And the first thing we're going to do is my husband already pulled it out of the package, but he is going to be grilling up some of these country style ribs. Have you ever seen these before? They're kind of like a chuck roast cut up into like a rib shape. They're for the most part boneless, and we just throw those on the grill after they've been seasoned up, and they are so yummy. So let me tell you what he put on these tonight. He put on this Meat Magic that is by Paul Prudhomme, and the ingredients are salt, spices, garlic, paprika, and onion. That's all there is in here. There's no MSG, there's no preservatives, nothing in there. They're like this. So this Paul Prudhomme's seasoning has, like, this is Meat Magic. They have Poultry Magic, Seafood Magic, I don't know, all kinds of different magics, okay? He is a chef from New Orleans. He is no longer with us, but his spices live on, and my brother actually introduced us to these spices, and so that's what is on this right now. And then as these grill, towards the end, like maybe 10 minutes left, we'll drizzle some honey on those to give it just a little bit of sweetness. So that's what we have on the country style ribs. Sometimes what I'll do is I will mix up my seasoning blend, which let me grab that from the refrigerator and I'll show it to you. Yes, I do keep this in the refrigerator because it is so humid here, especially right now. We have been raining every day, every afternoon. It's like 95 degrees, 1000% humidity. And so this, because there is no caking agents in it, it does get kind of clumpy if I don't put it in the fridge. And you can see I'm at the very bottom of my little bottle here. So I need to make some more. And I do sell this on Etsy. There is, like I said, no caking agents, no MSG. It is cayenne pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, ground mustard, salt, pepper. I think that's everything in it. Anyway, I usually put this and mix this with brown sugar and then sprinkle it on these. And that's what we'll do for our ribs also. But today we just did a little different because he was seasoning them up. I wasn't home and there wasn't enough of this seasoning. So we went with the Meat Magic. And this will go on the grill. He'll put on a hot fire, get them all browned up, and then move them over to the slow side to let them cook off. They don't have to cook as long as a rib because it doesn't have a bone in it. It doesn't need to fall off the bone or anything like that. You cook it about like you would a pork chop, except for this is a pretty fatty cut, so you don't have to be as careful with it. So that is going to be our main course. And to go with this, we're going to have some cornbread. Love cornbread, haven't had it in a while. And I've shared my cornbread recipe with you before, and I can tag that above in the cards up here on the top. But today I'm going to do something a little different. We're going to try something different in our cornbread. And then we're going to do a roasted sweet potato. I've done these with you before. And then we are going to do some stovetop creamy corn with jalapenos. All right, the first thing we're going to work on is our sweet potatoes. And I'm going to make a little glaze to go on them. We're going to start off, I have this chopped frozen garlic here. It's like 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. I'm going to add some balsamic vinegar. And then to this, we're also going to be adding some maple syrup. Let's see. So we're going to put this on the stove and just kind of let this cook down a little bit, reduce. I'd say that was like 2 tablespoons of the balsamic vinegar, and then maybe a 1/4 cup of the maple syrup along with our garlic. So we're going to put this on the stove top and let this just kind of very low reduce down. Now we're going to chop up. I have 2 pretty large sweet potatoes here. I'll go ahead and just kind of straighten them up a little bit, and we're going to cut these into kind of bite-sized cubes. So about this size. And we'll just put them on our sheet pan. All right, let me get these chopped up real quick. All right, so I have my sweet potatoes all diced up, and I have some red onion from my garden. And insert a little video here of all my onion harvest. So let's get harvesting these onions and see what we can come up with. I feel like this is a pretty good size onion right here. I'm really happy with what I did get. Not sure if you can hear the rain, but we got everything in before the rain started, and we're going to just start laying this out on the tarp to get them drying even more. So here's our garlic. I think I planted 90 cloves of garlic, and this is what I've got. I've never tried seed garlic before, and I just haven't had a lot of good luck, so maybe I need to switch to seed garlic. I just buy the organic garlic from Costco and break those apart into cloves myself and plant those. But some of these are pretty decent. I think I left them in the ground too long because they're starting to split. You can see they're already starting to split, so I need to get these out of the ground sooner. And here's our onions. I got these from Haas Tools, these onion sets. These went in the ground, I think it was in November. And like I said, we had a time with the chickens, 3 different times, them pulling them up. So we're happy to get what we got. And we got some pretty good sized ones, like this one. It's as big as my hand. Now we do have some of these little ones that I guess are like a pearl onion. We'll just put those whole in something. But if I remember correctly, I planted, you can hear that rain, you can hear me over the rain. I feel like I planted 75 onions, and we have eaten some onions fresh. So this is what we got. We'll quarter this up. All right, just have a couple of small ones here. We'll quarter these up, stick them on our pan with our sweet potatoes. And then to this, we're going to drizzle some avocado oil on top. And I do have my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I'm going to do some salt and pepper. And then we do have that reduction on the stove going that we will drizzle on the top of these once they're roasted and crispy. All right, we're going to get these in the oven, and we're going to stir up our cornbread. All right, so the next thing we're going to make is our cornbread. And I'll just read off the ingredient list. I typically don't measure, so I'm just going to read this off to you, and then I'll just dump and go. So it's 2 cups of self-rising cornmeal mix, 2 eggs, a half a cup of milk or buttermilk, a half a cup of sour cream, and then a little bit of salt. And that's just my plain cornbread. We're going to do something a little different than the sour cream. My sour cream is my kind of like my secret ingredient to keep this soft and moist. We're going to do something a little different from that today. So we're going to go in with our self-rising cornmeal mix, again, like around 2 cups, but I just dump. And then to this, we're going to add our 2 eggs. And then instead of the sour cream, we're going to be using let's see, I thought it was Greek yogurt. It's not. It's just organic probiotic yogurt. I wanted to get some fermented things in my diet, so this is what we're going with. I know yogurt is a substitute for sour cream, so we're going to go with a half a cup of this yogurt. I'm not sure even if after you cook the yogurt, if you still have the probiotic benefits in there or not. We're going to put about a half a cup of that in there. Actually, I can just use that. And then we're going to add about a half a cup of milk, a pinch of salt. Now there's things I can add to my cornbread. I'll sometimes add cream style corn, jalapenos, cheddar cheese, chopped onions. But we're just going to go with a plain cornbread tonight. And so what I typically do is I will stir it and see, oh, I need some more milk because this isn't the right consistency. And then I add more milk. So this is usually how I do it because I just dump and go. And so this is the consistency I want. It's kind of like more like a thicker waffle or pancake batter. We'll say it that way, on the thicker side. Make sure I get all the dry ingredients from the bottom, actually. Add a little bit more milk. I found a pocket of dry down there. All right, here we go. Now on the stove top, I have my cast iron skillet. You can use a skillet, a typical skillet. I have a deeper one that's more for like frying in, and that's what I'm going to be putting this in. I have that heating on the stove top, so we're going to move over there, and I'll show you how I get this together to go in the oven. So here you can see my pot, about how thick it is. It's more like a 3 inches thick instead of a 2-inch thick, or deep, I should say. And we're going to add some bacon grease to this. So my pot is getting hot. I want my bacon grease to melt. When you cook up your bacon, you need to save your grease. It's like liquid gold. And we just keep it here on the countertop. And that was about a tablespoon and a half. This is going to give our cornbread some good flavor. Kind of melt it off my spoon here. And we're cooking this at the same temperature as our sweet potatoes at 400 degrees. This takes about 30 to 35, 40 minutes, depending on how deep it is. Like I said, this is going to be a deeper skillet than your typical cast iron skillet, which is probably about 2 inches deep. So it's skinnier this way and taller as opposed to fatter or bigger around. Let me get these words out. So I kind of wanted to get this kind of hot so that we can get a little crust on the bottom of our cornbread. All right, I'm starting to see a shimmer in my bacon grease. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my batter in here. You can see it bubbling up there. And then what I like to do is kind of pull some of this bacon grease into the middle. So it flavors it all the way through. All right, we're going to put this in the oven on 400. And like I said, between 30 and 40 minutes, depending on the size of your pan. So our last little side dish we're going to do is this little cream corn. We're going to put a little bit of butter in our skillet here. That's about 2 tablespoons of butter. And then I have 2 of these bags of corn. They're 10 ounces each. I'll throw these in the skillet. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do one. I don't think I need both of these. I'm going to add some salt to this. We're going to add, let's see, it's about 1/3 cup of whipping cream there. And we're on medium heat. Now I'm going to chop, I'm going to just do one of these jalapenos since I'm only doing one of the bags. If you want to take the seeds out, you certainly can. I'm going to take a little bit of this just pithy part out. I'm not going to worry about the seeds being out. I'm going to give this a little dice. I did have to buy this jalapeno at the store. Our garden is struggling this year. These chickens have gotten out like 3 times, dug everything up. We replant, they get out, dig everything up. We have to replant. So, and peppers usually take a little bit longer here. Anyway, I guess they are everywhere. They kind of are they need that heat to make them spicy. So it takes a little while for them to grow. So we'll go ahead and chop this up. Put all this in here. Oh, I think that jalapeno found a little cut on my finger. And then to this, we're going to add some cream cheese. Now that I think about it, I think this really could make like a dip also for like corn chips. Just going to cut it off in little chunks so it melts better. If you wanted to add some fresh cilantro to this, or some fresh herbs, you could. I might add some chives to this. All right. We're going to get this stirred in, all melty. You can add some freeze-dried chives to this. All right, we're going to come back when this is all pulled together and we are ready to eat. So we'll be back. All right, so our sweet potatoes are thoroughly cooked, and I'm going to go ahead and drizzle our glaze here. I'm going to put it back in the oven. I have it on broil, but I'm not going to put my pan all the way at the top because I don't want it to burn, but I just want it to continue to brown. Give these a toss. Just watch it really closely if you do put it on broil with the sugars. You don't want them to burn. All right, let me get this back in the oven. All right, let's go ahead and serve our plate up. We're going to get a little bit of those sweet potatoes, that yummy glaze, and the red onions. Next, we're going to get some of our corn here. I did add some roasted garlic pepper powder I had gotten from Azure Standard and added to this. Add some garlic to this. Definitely worth it. And cut a piece of this cornbread. Here we go. Nice and brown and toasty on the bottom, and so moist and yummy. Hot. All right, we're going to get some meat and we're going to taste test this. So here's our yummy meat. I did do some meal prep of some chicken while we had the grill going and went on and grilled up some chicken tenders for later in the week. And I'm going to take one of these and I'm just going to cut this in half. You can see they're fully cooked. They took about 45 minutes or so on the grill. They're not very thick, but it is solid meat. All right, let's give this all a try. Honestly, what I'm most excited about is this cornbread. Let me just break off a piece and so you can see. It's so yummy, so moist. Not dry at all. Full of flavor. And I will say, the yogurt is just as good as the sour cream. Let me go ahead and cut a piece of this meat. A little bit of spice with that seasoning mix. A little bit of sweetness from that honey. Let's try these sweet potatoes with this yummy garlic glaze. You cannot go wrong with garlic and maple. It's so good. And then our little corn here on the side. Definitely add that garlic to it. I added some black pepper also. That is so good, y'all. I hope you give these recipes a try. And thanks for coming along with me while I fix dinner for my family tonight. I'm going to get a sip of my sweet tea, or slightly sweet tea, to wash all that down with. And we'll see you next time. If you haven't subscribed already, I'll put my little logo right here, and you can subscribe and follow along. And over here, I'll put a little playlist if you want to check out some other videos. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.